Thank you, friends. Now for an English language rendition of the Jai Jagat song to welcome you all into our program on COP26. Jai Jagat.
Sing along, Jai Jagat. Call along, Jai Jagat. Sing along, Jai Jagat. Call along, Jai Jagat. For peace, let the souls come alive. For justice and joy come alive. Sing along, Jai Jagat. Call along, Jai Jagat. Sing along, Jai Jagat. Call along, Jai Jagat. Be the call of love, let love be in all. Victory to the world and no one to be lost. Be the call of love, let love be in all. Victory to the world and no one to be lost. Let color be no bar, let caste be no bar. Let love be the need of our, let the love for all be the bar. Winds of peace shall blow around, we shall all now sing along. Let the sun of love be strong, let the night of hate be gone. Let the night of hate be gone. Sing along, Jai Jagat. Call along, Jai Jagat. Let the souls come alive. For justice and joy come alive. Sing along, Jai Jagat. Call along, Jai Jagat. Sing along, Jai Jagat. Call along, Jai Jagat.
Jai Jagat Sathiyon. Welcome to the
Many thanks. Many thanks, Jay, and Jai Jagat, everyone. Welcome to this webinar on youth and climate action. We are very, very happy to have you all here with us. We are, so you know, we are celebrating in 2 days. We will launch our 12 days of action on nonviolent economy, this campaign of Jai Jagat. So we're very excited to have this first webinar, not as part of the 12 days, but like as also like a preparations towards this campaign with youth from all around the world, from different countries, who has a lot of experience on climate action. And we are very happy to hear today a little bit on their experiences, but also some of their reflections and thoughts on why it is important today, the COP26, and how is climate change affecting their communities, their work, and also what are the main challenges they have to face under climate action. So we have different speakers from different regions of the world. They will have, all of you will have 10 minutes to share on one of these questions and issues, and then if we have some time by the end of the session, we will open the space if someone else wants to contribute something. to this space, and we want to lead these discussions towards how we can bring together all these experiences you're already having locally on the grassroots and so forth to the COP26. How we can build a joint message to COP26 from all these experiences, or if not, if we don't want also, no, but trying to put together all these different actions from different places towards a joint message. So to start, we have Daniel Helmer from the United States. He's part of Jagat US, and he will share a little bit on his experience, but also he will share on a possible walk to Glasgow on the 2nd of October. So Daniel, welcome.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can.
Actually. Hi, everyone. I'm Dan Helmer. I am from the US, over in the east coast of US, just above New York City. I'm also part of Jagat US, also part of another group called Last Generation. I've been a climate organizer for the past 12 years since if I'm also part of another organization as a volunteer called 350.org. I've been a climate organizer since 2009 when 350.org launched. And so I've also been a youth organizer as well as a community organizer. I think one thing that's really important right now is that as a climate movement, since what we're talking about for this webinar is COP26, and that right here, COP26 is one of the major negotiations for saving our planet. And we've been in these negotiations for many years, but this year is very important because the situation has never been more dire, as we know, and we've been working on this for a long time. So, and I think one of the things that's really important in the context of the US is that there's a lot that the movement has grown over time, and that we've been here in the US trying to do and transition within the US a lot of our impact and also our progress on climate change, but it hasn't over the years been as fast as we wanted it to, especially in the movement versus what governments or corporations have been doing. And one of the things that we see right now is the effects of climate change that has been happening in the whole world, that's been happening in the US as well, but we've been seeing just throughout this year a whole bunch of large amounts of natural disaster that's happened within the US. So just only a few weeks ago, others may have heard of where a hurricane hit New York. Well, there was actually two. So there was a hurricane that came up the eastern coast of the United States and hit parts of New York City and Long Island and the northeastern seaboard, and that had impacts. But just a week later, we had flooding from Hurricane Ida, which hit actually the Gulf Coast, which is down in New Orleans, and the rains flooded New York City and killed over 40 people, which had definitely impacts. And so we know from that it was portions of New York City were underwater. and basements of where people were living were actually flooded into, and people died from that. And we know that right now that showed where even New York City, which is a, has been supposedly taking action to, one, not just mitigate but adapt. We're not prepared for these types of storms and these effects of climate change. This is just one actual example of climate change. So we know that our ability to adapt to these storms, which will get worse and worse and more frequent, and have been getting more frequent over time. This is not the first time that a hurricane has really impacted New York City, which is a huge financial hub. I mean, I think really importantly is that financial hubs will, climate change is going to be impacting our economy and everything like that. And where these natural disasters will end up impacting many parts of society. And so where with New York City being shaken this time, we also had several other hurricanes. Hurricane Sandy was one that came up also and hit New York City, and hurricanes here are not normal. So this is going to be really important about mitigating and adapting, and we need to right now with COP26 mitigate. Within the U.S., we've also this year we saw huge, and still are seeing, huge amounts of forest fires in the western part of the U.S. that have been, I think within Canada, there was a community that burst into flames, and the entire town was disappeared within 10 minutes. And so that was just in the middle of July that happened. So there's been a lot that's been happening right now on climate change. So this is why it's really important and why it's really urgent that we take action on it. And so COP26 is in Glasgow, Scotland this year. And it's a major point for us to be able to negotiate on climate change and taking even more increased action, because we know that the time is right now, and especially because we know, especially with the IPCC report, which is the International Panel on Climate Change, which releases studies and reports on the state of climate change. They released a really important and urgent message saying that things are even worse than we predicted, and they've been releasing those studies even at where it's been getting worse and worse and worse than we had predicted before. So right now we have to take action. So that's why we're here. And so we actually are working on trying to, within this, and then also a webinar we'll be having, which is more interactive, in about 2 weeks. We'll be having a webinar to kind of take as use a collective voice from our different parts of the world to Glasgow. And Monica, I'm just going to check on time, how much I have left. About 4 minutes.
Yes, you can go for 3 minutes.
So with going to Glasgow this October, November, we're going to try and bring the youth voice, as many are trying to make sure that we really get the things that we need, because right now, we can't slip up on this, and so we're taking a collective set of demands as youth to COP26, and we're gonna in about 2 weeks convene back together, and I can tell more about that later. With and working on what in the advocacy realm, create a white paper to create interventions for from youth and civil society to the delegation. And so I'm going to be walking with other folks within the UK to COP26 from, and I'm not going to start right on the second, but this is where we have a walker, Pushpanat Krishnamurti, who is starting on the 2nd of October and walking from, I believe, London all the way up to Glasgow, and ending there on the 31st. And so I will be joining, and I believe Gemma J as well will be joining on the way there, and taking these, what we're talking about today. And I'm not sure if we're going to be doing the activity that we talked about of starting to jot some ideas of demands, but in 2 weeks from now, we'll start to pull those together and invite you to it. So I encourage that this webinar is just a start of talks to start to bring demands, and we really need your participation and help and follow up, and this is the moment. So thank you very much for allowing me to speak.
Many thanks, Daniel, for your introduction to this webinar, and also for sharing one of the actions we are having later. Jay, are you there? Would you like to share a little bit? Sure. On your action?
It would be wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Daniel. It was wonderful to hear about, it was wonderful to have that overall insight really coming from you about COP26 and the work of youth in this movement. I am actually a filmmaker, and I'm going to be joining Pushpanat Krishnamurti, and I'm going to be filming him. And along with him, I'm hoping to capture all the other movements that are happening around COP26, especially focused on the youth. Pushpanat is going to be doing a wonderful walk. We are starting the walk from London on 2nd October from the Parliament Square there at the Gandhi statue. 2nd October is also the birthday of Mahatma Gandhi, which is why we're kind of celebrating it with a bang. And the plan is that we'll take the walk all the way from London to Glasgow. That's around 380 miles. We'll be walking across 29 to 30 days. In the process, we'll be meeting a lot of very interesting people who are working on nonviolent economy, nonviolent lifestyles, and a lot of these actions. So we are hoping that we can actually pull together a lot of these movements and bring a strong message and a strong force of people really to COP26, and all of us kind of join hands and make an impact. Jagat as a movement is what I have been connected with, and that's kind of where I came in to join this program and Pushpanat and the overall process. In case some of my friends might not know about Jagat, I'll just give a small brief. It is a campaign for non-violence and peace. It's a global campaign. It's there in, I think, pretty much every continent and many countries. We are all kind of coming together. It's not got any big, organizations functioning behind it. It's a group of people who've really come together for common issues. And it's in India, especially, where the walk is focused a lot on peace and justice, because in India, we have a huge problem of disparity, and this disparity between people and this disparity of, the economic disparity, the social disparity is one of the big challenges that we face in India. And that's also a big cause that leads to the climate crisis, because in such a system, a lot of issues of climate are never addressed. And the rights of the people who are living and protecting the forests are taken away, for example, and then that forest is sanctioned off to big corporates to do their mining and to, deforest and set up industries and everything. So we've been facing that a lot, and the consequences are being felt. In India, very recently, one of the organizations that is associated with Jagat Ekta Parishad was doing work at a village called Shopur, where for the first time in, I don't know, 30, 40 years, there were crazy floods. And that was because of people acquiring the land and constructing over land that is not supposed to be constructed, over the natural pathways of the river. And the floods were horrible. People, livestock, everybody had to just kind of run to the third floor and hide, because everything, the ground floor, the first floor was all flooded, and people were not prepared for it. And this is just I'm trying to give a macro example to kind of associate the macro action that we are looking at. But it is these challenges that we are trying to take forward with us, and that we have experienced, that we've suffered. There have been landslide happening in the north of India, in Uttarakhand. There are cars falling, again, over construction. The forest is, the mountain has been cut very badly because of all the overdevelopment in the area. In Northeast, there's been a lot of deforestation that's been happening in India, and there have been massive floods. I think 100,000 plus people have been affected. I think it was 86,000 last week in Assam, just one of the states, and it's kind of gone up way ahead of that because of the floods that are happening. And on one part, there are floods, in the other part, we are suffering droughts. In the Vidarbha region, farmers are committing suicide because of droughts. So it is, it's urgent. We are suffering these things right now. And the idea is that when we are working with Pushpanath, we can take a lot of these messages with us. I mean, I'll be working with Pushpanath, and I'm hoping to also kind of cover the other movements that are happening, especially in the region, and kind of put together our messages. But it's important for us to take this message of Jai Jagat, of climate justice, of a non-violent lifestyle, kind of bringing it again from the person to the system, and work towards a sort of system where there's justice, where a non-violent lifestyle is promoted, where we address peace and justice as connected issues. I'm sure Pushpanath will speak more on this, because he's one of the speakers coming in soon enough. But so that's the kind of movement that we are working with. Monica, is there, I don't know, am I exceeding time?
No, not yet, but you're on time.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, essentially, in the next 1 month, starting 2nd of October, we're going to be doing those. This program is, I think, essentially one of the big programs right in the beginning of the 12 days that we're doing. So I'd like to take the next couple of minutes to address what we are doing as of right now, what we are here for, which are 12 days of action, which we are trying to, again, bring together organizations and movements with Jai Jagat to address issues of climate justice, address issues related to environment, to civil, to disparity, and with a focus on non-violent economy. I think if you visit our website, jaijagatinternational.org, you might be able to see a lot of the actions that are happening. Every day, there are lots of actions happening around the world. So it would be great if you could join some of those programs and the webinars. And yes, and for whoever's there in London, in Glasgow, somewhere in the middle, we'd be very happy to kind of come together. Pushpanath would be there, I would be there. We'd be very happy to meet up, have a cup of chai, because chai is what fuels this movement. And kind of come together and really have some interesting discussions, make some content. And in my case, I'm doing my best to use my cinema skills of camera and sound and light to shed light on the movement. So that's pretty much it from my end. And I would like to thank everyone for this opportunity. Jai Jagat, and hand it back to Monica. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jay. Many thanks also for sharing a little bit on the Jai Jagat campaign and how is it involved on all this. Now we are very happy to introduce Matthew Hesali. He's member of ATTAC, and participant of meetings at COP26 coalition. Welcome, Matthew.
Thank you. Yes, I'm Mathieu. I'm from France, and I'm a member of ATTAC, and I participate in the COP26 coalition meetings. Although I'd like to stress before I start the meeting that I don't have a mandate for this particular event, but as I've been invited, I would like to give an update as to what is being planned by the coalition and why they feel that that COP26 is still an important event, even though many of us feel that not much will come out of it from the point of view of the official event. If COPs were really efficient, we wouldn't be up to the 26th one. It would have worked from the first one. But still, it's an important event because it provides a platform for civil society as well to express demands, to get the message across to a large number of people, and also to help create a movement that will last beyond COP and will develop, hopefully, throughout events that will take place after. For example, the European Summer University of Frankfurt in 2022, which could be another step in consolidating a movement for climate justice. Also, this one is particularly important because, as has been said before, the effects of climate change are now felt well very much in many countries. And now this is not something that is abstract and that is like somewhere off in the distance for many people. The results we are on, well, I was going to say only, but this is already a lot, but we've already got 1.2 degrees rise in temperature globally, and we are already starting to feel the effect. And this is why it's very important to mitigate the effects of climate change and try to limit the rise in temperature insofar as it's possible. The COP26 coalition feels it's very important to stick to the proclaimed objective that has been set in Paris of 1.5 degrees, and that countries so far are not reaching. Just yesterday, a study on temperature rise was saying that we were on track for 2.7 degrees because many of the countries that signed the Paris Agreement are not respecting their commitment to reducing emissions. So this is an important moment, not so much from the point of view of official negotiations, but from the point of view of organizing from the ground up. Many organizations are involved in the COP26 coalition, and sometimes there are differences in the way they see the best path to take action. From a personal point of view, I would say that all different modes of action can combine to be efficient. I don't feel that direct action is any better than suing governments or transnational companies, or that doing like research study to change the narrative that is provided by our governments. I don't think there is one way of acting that is better than any other in itself, but that all of these modes of action can combine, and that they are all necessary to improve the situation. And this is also something that has been mentioned many times in coalition meetings, and the fact that if some people want to engage in direct action, it's all very well, but if other people don't feel comfortable doing so, then they should adopt their own modes of action. The main event that will take place in Glasgow on the 6th of November. So there will be a huge demonstration in Glasgow, but for obvious reasons with the COVID situation and the difficulty of access for especially for delegates from the global south, who are sometimes on like restricted lists of countries. Then the coalition is also trying to encourage people to take action wherever they are in the world. The objective that has been stated by the COP26 coalition is an objective of actions in 20 different countries. Whether these are like mass protests or webinars or conferences, or depending on the local situation, obviously, types of action can be different. But not everybody will be able to make it to Glasgow, and therefore it is also important to create a mass movement and to apply pressure on world leaders. It's very important that there are mobilizations everywhere in the world. Then between the 7th and the 10th of November, there will be a People's Summit taking place in Glasgow as well, with the aim of building a strong climate movement and to coordinate action whenever possible, and try to also get the message across to as large an audience as possible. There will be meetings, there will be also seminars, this event will also be accessible for people who can't make it to Glasgow, as it will be a hybrid event. So most of the events will be available online as well for people who cannot make it to Glasgow. One of the issues that the coalition was very concerned with was the problems for people from the global south to gain access to the COP. And therefore, initiatives have been launched, such as a service to help people register for their visa application. And so far, like, the coalition has helped 200 people with the help of lawyers to do their visa application. There is also a service that has been put online for accommodation, because accommodation is extremely expensive in Glasgow during COP26, and a platform called the Human Hotel has been set up so that activists could get reasonably cheap accommodation for the duration of their stay. It's very important from the point of view of the COP26 coalition to include as many people from as many countries as possible in this event. This should not be a rich nations event. The idea is that the crisis we are facing is a crisis of as much of inequalities and of injustice as a climate crisis. When rich countries talk about debt, for example, they have to bear in mind that rich countries have a debt towards southern countries, not the other way around, because that's basically rich countries and rich people in rich countries, more precisely, are the cause of the problem, not people in the global south. And therefore, they shouldn't be the ones to face the cost of what has been taking place for decades in rich countries. And this is more or less the gist of it. I encourage you all to go on the coalition website, where the message is delivered in more detail. Thank you very much.
Many thank yous. Many thanks, Matthew, for this brief information. We appreciate it a lot. And also, I mean, they have shared the link of this human hotel on the chat, so you can also check it there. Okay, so we have also welcome Jean-Valentin from the Swiss Youth for Climate.
Thank you
with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So my name is Jean-Valentin, and I'm a student in environmental studies and member of Swiss Youth for Climate. So Swiss Youth for Climate is an NGO that was founded in 2015 by a couple of students that initially wanted to participate at the COP in Paris and represent the civil society and especially young people. And so we did that, and quite quickly saw that not a lot of things were happening there, and that we really needed to have also concrete projects in our country. So that's when we started to also create some regional groups of students all across Switzerland to have also projects in our communities. But we always had also these international projects by participating to the COP, because we felt that it was important. And yeah, I mean, why is COP26 important this year? As it was quite well said also before by Daniel, Mathieu, and Jay also. The climate crisis is getting always more important, with all the consequences that we can see all over in the world. Here in Switzerland, we also have a lot of glaciers that are melting, more and more hot summers, floods as well, not so important as in Germany, but still. And even if the Paris Agreement was signed, a lot of countries didn't reach their goals, including Switzerland. And we really need to have all the countries to take bold actions and decisions. And now is the time more than ever at the COP26. But I really agree with what Matthew said, that it's not really the official event itself that is going to create something. I think I don't expect a lot of decisions to come out of this, but it's really a platform, I think, to network, also to have a lot of organizations from all over the world to gather and to really work on concrete actions. And to give you an example, for example, here in Switzerland, we had a lot of protests for climate justice, and to really have our government also take actions. We are going to organize also this autumn, before the COP, some workshops to show young people what are these international conferences, because a lot of young people only hear about the COP in the press or the media, and don't really know what's going on there. And so that's something we are going to do. At the COP24, we did an action that we called Things Are Moving Too Slow, where basically we led down on the ground in the main hall to show the decision makers that things are really moving too slow and we need to act now. And we're probably going to do that again at the COP26 in Glasgow. And also something we are doing is, before the COP, also have to put pressure on the Swiss delegation, because our government is clearly not doing enough. We have a lot of challenges also here in Switzerland. We are, of course, a rich country, but it's very difficult to have young people also working on concrete projects, because it's something to go down the streets and protest, but it's another thing to also think about what you can do on an individual level and also in your community. And there's quite a gap also. We have to and we have to find solutions for that as well. So it's something at Swiss Youth for Climate we are trying to work on. and really to convince also people that you need to start with your individual action as well, because it's of course we need banks to divest from fossil fuels, we need governments to take bold political actions, but it has to also be along with the individual action. And that's why I really think that, for example, the 12 days of action from Jagat are a really good initiative also to reflect on what you can do on the individual level each day during 12 days. But the main reason I wanted to participate today is that, as it was said before, unfortunately, a lot of the people from southern countries will not be able to participate at the COP26 due to the COVID situation. And I am here also to hear people from these countries that cannot have their voice heard, and to represent their voice as well, the voice of marginalized communities, of countries that cannot participate at the COP26. Because myself, I have the chance to participate at this event, and I really think that the most people need to be represented there. So yeah, that's the reason I wanted to participate, and I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you very much, and we are also very happy to see you here again with us, sharing with Jagat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Krishna Kisha, we have Krishna Kisha from Bangladesh. She's a community facilitator at Caping Foundation, and she's also a fellow of the International Land Coalition on the program of Future Leadership. Welcome, Krishna.
Thank you very much, Monica. And also I welcome all the participants who have participated in this webinar. And I am going to share some of my experiences and also the kind of issues we are facing in the community level. I am actually working as an indigenous youth activist in Bangladesh, engaged with Kaping Foundation and also another organization named Bangladesh Indigenous Women Network. The kind of issues we are facing in our community is actually because of the indiscriminate stone extraction and also deforestation. The water bodies are drying up, and so indigenous people who are living in remote areas, especially in the hilly areas, they are facing a lot of drinking water crisis. They have to walk miles to collect their drinking water, and also this deforestation is causing a huge impact in their lifestyle, because they are living with nature and in the natural habitat. So they are facing a lot of issues, and also recently in the hilly areas, before there were never landslides, but in recent years we are seeing heavy landslides, which is recurring every year. So this is because of the cutting of hills. Indigenous people, they actually believe that they should not cut the hills, or else something ominous might happen to them. But because I think this belief is actually somewhat related with the climate change, because maybe because of this belief, before they never used to cut the hills and they never faced such issues. But recently, since they have started cutting down the hills, they have also started facing those issues. And also this because of the climate change, the duration of the monsoon and also the period of the summer and monsoon have lengthened, which is actually causing serious threat to their production and also their livelihood. I think this COP26 is very much important because we will have an overview on the condition, how Bangladesh is right now in terms of climate change and what actions it will take in future to mitigate those issues and to deal with the climate change crisis. Kapeng Foundation has previously done a project on the community empowerment and illegal to stop the illegal stone extraction in the community level. Actually, after 9 months of initiating this project, they have got hearing from the High Court to stop the illegal stone extraction. But however, there are a lot of challenges surrounded a lot of challenges because of the influences corrupted persons. It becomes very difficult for the community people to stop the illegal stone extraction and also the sand extraction. And also the community people are not that aware of the issues that they are facing because of the climate change. In Chittagong Hill Tracks, people, they are cultivating teak trees to a huge extent just to have a good quality of furniture. So those teak trees are very harmful for the environment. It actually dries up the land, the water of the land. So these are the challenges that we are facing right now because of the unawareness of the people. But we are having regular seminars to raise awareness with the youth and also the community leaders. And also we are organizing human change to draw the attention of the stakeholders and the policymakers. So that's all from my side. Thank you.
No, thank you, Krishna. It's been a pleasure to get to know you and all the work you're doing there. It's very tough, the situation, and still it's very, it gives a lot of hope to know experiences like yours. Thank you. We have also Kokila from India. She's a visual artist and she's also an activist. Focus on socio-political, but also environmental, gender, sexuality, in issues. So very welcome, Kokila.
Thank you. Am I audible?
You are.
Yeah.
Thank you, Monica, and everybody. It's been really inspiring to listen to this, and I feel like we're a bit late to this conversation, this discourse, but I want to sort of stand on to the last bit of hope and feel that we can collectively make a difference. My name is Kokila. I belong to Central India. I worked with one of the worst industrial disasters in the history, which happened in Bhopal, and advocate. And that is how I got deeply connected to the interrelation between climate change, the social politics, corporate crimes, and how in our daily lives we are consistently being driven towards a very, very exploitative kind of lifestyle. We recently had access to the IPCC report, which pretty much gave us a warning that we've known of, but also have now the statistics too. And the scale of recent changes across the climate system as a whole and the present state of many aspects of the climate system are unprecedented over many centuries and many thousands of years. And India continues to be the third largest emitter in the world. And now that COP26 is happening, we do not see a strong commitment from India's side to really make an impact or to commit from its past promises at the Paris summit or previously at the other conventions that India has been a part of. There are various things happening in India right now, politically, socially, ecologically. There are brilliant initiatives, but there is a very how do I put it, unique problem that India faces, which might not be the same as other developed or developing countries, which is as we go closer to climate extinction, the crisis doesn't impact all of us collectively, but it also impacts us as per our identity. So in India, we are bound by the caste hegemony and we are bound by the class hegemony, and we're sort of bound by our gender and sexuality and transphobia and sort of communalism and homophobia. And while women and other genders and children are the most vulnerable, this identity politics has created a very distinct shift in how we view how the climate change affects us all as a community. So while we're looking at the entire country will be at risk and is one of the top 17 countries to be at the risk when things go worse than this, and we see more and more of floods and droughts and more of submergence, it will affect the most marginalized communities, and especially the Adivasis who are at the central of the conservation of our biodiversity and forest lands. And this makes me feel like we have a need to not just go back to embracing our roots, like the cliche says, but also dismantling the Brahminical patriarchy. For those of us in different countries, you can look it up. You can look at the sort of the caste politics that is happening right now, the discrimination that is happening right now, the violence that is happening right now. A lot of it has to do with the government. A lot of it has to do with the environment, because a lot of communities are environmental activists. Having said that, we also need to reclaim the idea of development again. Like, I think the foundation of Jagat, as far as I've worked with organizations like Ekta Parishad and have understood, is that we go back to the land and we go back to honoring it and we go back to the earth. And a lot of times we sort of look at it from a very maternal sense of view, but it also comes from a very conservation stance, a very nourishing stance, a very one that is sort of steeped in love. And currently our idea of development is the opposite of that. Like, so while India says that it is still developing and it will not be able to commit much because it is struck down by poverty, what we mean by development is simply privatization of public services, capitalism, neoliberalism, policies that only benefit businesses, corporate exploitation of resources that belongs to, again, marginalized communities, taking it from them, consumerism, and basically consuming more than we need, a lot of hoarding, and most of all, we are stuck with the farmers' crisis, which cannot be solved by our idea of development, because as you all know, we have the largest civil disobedience movement in the world right now, where lakhs of farmers are protesting and are continuing to do so since a year. And while the laws have been suspended that they are protesting against, we have a long way to go, because sort of they need much more than what we are promising them. To maximize profit, businesses would seek to replicate ecologically harmful green revolution agricultural practices, which produce very high level yields in the short term and massive inputs of water and energy. But water is scarce because of climate change and energy that in the short term will come from fossil fuels. And we're not even shifting that despite having a very, very, very high potential for alternatives to thermal and coal. Maybe one other thing that I would like to address, and I don't want to take much time,
is 2 minutes.
How, yeah, so how, in especially developing countries like India post-pandemic, the climate crisis has given us a huge mental health sort of crisis. Like there is a languishing, there is an impending doom impacting our personal lives and ambitions. Now, we need to really non-violently address these issues and also talk about our mental health and also talk about how we can practice subversion in a country like India, where it continues to crack down on journalists and the voices of activists simply for creating and disseminating a toolkit on climate change, accusing them of sedition, criminal conspiracy, intent to cause a riot, and other crimes. In this scenario, we need to sort of rethink what non-violence means to us and how we can subvert in more possible ways. Also, maybe take inspiration from the queer movement in India, because it sort of is based on a lot of love and the act of love and subversion. And we can look at alternatives and newer frameworks that come from the grassroots called radical ecological democracy, degrowth, decentralization, and not just power but resources, and hope for the best. Yeah, thank you.
Many thanks, Kokila. Many thanks, Kokila. Nice to meet you and know also your activism. And I think it's very important what you have putting over the table, all these also social issues around climate crisis, which is not separate at all of all this. And very thanks. We have Sydney with us, I think. Sydney Kairu from Kenya. He was a Jagat walker on the Global Peace March on the 2020, and I'm very happy to see you again. He's also part of Ecolog, a UN program of community. He's also a community builder and a visual artist. Sydney, are you with us?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Nice to see you.
Yes, pleasure to meet all of you. I actually did not know of the COP26, but I'll just briefly not take too much of your time and mention what is happening in Kenya, primarily about climate. Yeah, so I would say our country is divided into 47 regions, of which out of that 47 region, 89% of our country is what is classified as arid or semi-arid, which means it's only 10% which is left for agriculture. 30% of the population, me included, we are in that process of being in the mixture of pastoralism and crop farming. Luckily enough, I'm in the 10%. Unfortunately, like for example, this year, we have had around 3,500 cattle which have died in the past 2 weeks. Some of this information, you can get it in the BBC Africa. And we also have some families of, let's say, one woman who has like 8 children, and they don't have food. They are making food from tree leaves, which have survived. And that's how they are keeping and coping up. How does that relate to climate? It relates to climate because it's a big problem other than the pandemic which has happened. And therefore, there's a big shift in terms of the pandemic has shifted the country into trying to mitigate the problems that have risen. And also the poverty line has also increased. The other issue which is coming up is also we are part of the countries which are under big debt from borrowing and over borrowing. And that also makes me doubt whether the priorities will be set for making better policies for climate as opposed to trying to reduce the debt or trying to mitigate other issues. I might be wrong, and this is obviously I would say is a grain of salt of it's a personal opinion. It could be different from what is actually going on. What am I doing? For me, I believe that we can be different activists in different capacities. Some people can be vocal, some others can decide to do other means. Therefore, I've been creating a community center. I started in August, and the next goal is next year we can do an eco-friendly rammed earth construction. The idea for me is we could have people who are better suited than I am to come and usually have talks, and could be talks of various issues. The center is targeting the youths because that's what is dear to me, and with the youths we can be able to mitigate and try and foster better changes in the future as we are getting slowly by slowly. Therefore, with the center we could have many programs which are coming there, experts who have experience in climate change, for example, who can talk and give this kind of knowledge rather than me be the one, because I don't have knowledge in that. And also want to say, not to point fingers on the older generation, but we're in this kind of problem because of industrialization of different centuries and older generations which have put us in this issue. So going forward, I think it is a great initiative that will be happening in COP. And as you say, unfortunately, not everybody will go from the global south because of obvious reasons. But hopefully a lot of people who will represent us and take the message, we are hoping that they will do a quite fantastic job in that. I hope I haven't taken too much of your time.
Not at all, Sydney, not at all. Many thanks for joining and for sure what you have shared. We are very pleased to see you here with us, and we hope we can also keep in touch for the coming steps of this preparation for the COP26. We have also Rosa Marina Flores. She's a territorial defender and Afro-Benitza from an indigenous ethnia in the Istmos de Tehuantepec in Oaxaca, Mexico. She's with us right now, I think. And she will be also sharing her experience. Are you there, Rosa? Hello.
Yeah, I'm here. Hi.
Welcome.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for the invitation to be part of this conversation. I'm just gonna share with you a little bit about this initiative that we have. I'm part of an organization, indigenous organization in my region, the Assembly of Indigenous People in Defense of the Land and Territory. And also I'm part of a network of indigenous people in defense of the territory also in Mexico that it calls Indigenous Futures. So we have this crazy idea to get into the COP this year. This is, our first year as a network working together. And we think that actually how a lot of the previous speakers say, these COPs are not like the solution. We think that the solution it's already alive, and we want to bring the eyes to this, that the solution, the alternatives are alive and are in the indigenous communities. And the indigenous communities in Mexico and in Latin America, we have been fighting for our lands and our territories, and this is fighting for the nature and fighting for the earth. And in exchange of this, we've been, well, we have lots of people who get murdered and to like, well, we have a lot of violence in response of these movements. So also we think that the way how the responses of the climate change are made in these spaces, like the COPs and everything, well, they are not really bringing the life and the situation of the indigenous communities in the conversation. Instead of that, they are in those spaces, they agree to make a way to continue with this same system of depredation and this economic system that is making money for our resource. So, for example, in my community, in my region, we are facing like this invasion of wind energy projects that are grabbing our territory and our land. So this is the kind of answers that the economic system is giving to the climate crisis. So that's why we are we want to bring this this initiative that in where we are trying to talk about is there is a necessity to change the narrative about how the climate change is addressing now. So we think that it becomes the health of the earth, it will becomes from the indigenous communities and from the indigenous women. So that's a little bit about what we are facing now and what we are working with. This initiative it brings like we are 13 indigenous delegates from different parts of Mexico that are actually fighting in their territories and in their lands against energy projects, water projects, and we want to that the actions we want to say that the actions that they are taking are just making us like more damage, and they are making more damage to the nature that are really answer to the crisis. So that's a little bit about what is happening. Just yesterday, I think there was murder an indigenous defensor in Mexico. He was part of the Zapatist Liberation National Army, because that's what the things are now in our country. So we don't think that these spaces, these places where the people, the same people is talking about the same things one and again, they are not the answer. The answer are our lives, and the answers are in the community, in the community level. And I think it's not just in Mexico, it's in the whole world. And we want to say that we need to pay attention to those and to bring more attention about what is happening there. So it's everything I want to say. Well, we are being in the COP. We already have the accreditations, but it was really difficult. It was hard for us to have them because we are not part of this official organization. So also they are the ones who are deciding who comes and who can talk. But we are already have the accreditations, and also we have a little bit of the fundraising money for the delegation, and it's everything. That is just to say that there is not when the climate change is addressing by racism and by destruction, there is not the answer. So that's all.
Thanks, Rosa. Many thanks for being here. Although I know it's difficult for you guys, and we appreciate all you have shared. We have also Vasi Jou Josue from Burkina Faso. He's founder of an NGO called Community Transformation Center. He also wants to speak for a little bit on his initiatives. Are you with us, Basi?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me, please?
Yes. Welcome.
Okay, thank you very much. So, my name is Gazier. I'm from Burkina Faso. I'm a mathematician teaching mathematics in art school, and our NGO is working mostly with students in art school and also in university, and we are organizing some conferences each month to sensibilize students about how they can take care of environment, and also we are trying to get some teachers together to help them know the importance of environment, and also during our courses of mathematics or biology or chemistry, we are also teaching students how they are important to take care of the environment. You know, mostly in our country, the government doesn't have some practical ambitions about taking care of the environment, but we hope that what we can teach to the youth is very important to help them to take care of the environment. This is mostly what we are doing to teaching only and conferences. Thank you very
much. Thank you, Vasi. So we are trying to bring together all these different speakers from different regions, so we can also see like the big picture of how it's the situation all over the world with different also contexts and how it impacts in a very diverse way. We are almost close to finalize with our speakers. Just going with Claire. She's from Jagat, France. Also, she was one of the Global Peace March walkers last year. And well, she has been involved in ecological and social transition studies and in many other things. Claire, are you there? Would you like to?
Hello, everyone. Okay, so yes, I'm Claire. I participate at the Global Peace March Jagat, and I wanted to share with you my experience of the last weeks because I participate at different events in France because I'm lucky to be in France, and this year's in September the IUCN, which is the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, organized in Marseille, in south of France, global congress to talk on nature. And I wanted to share with you that in the beginning, I was thinking that the mention of this congress was already prepared, and we cannot change in this congress this mention, but finally with this kind of hybrid hybrid congress where some people are in place in Marseille and other people are connected by Zoom or other platform with internet. A lot of people from South, from indigenous communities, from grassroots people can talk also in this Congress. And finally, some motion was accepted. For me, it's not enough, but it's a beginning, as we say. Some motion like to change the direction of where the money from the global bank like WWF will go. For the moment, they will go to the government, and after the government give the money at other organizations on the country. So they decide to give this money at more local communities and more local activists who are really acting in the country. And they also add the motion to give more power and more to make more discussion with the autochtone, the indigenous community to create policies for ecological, environmental policies. So it's not enough, but it's a beginning. I saw that when the grassroots people, when the indigenous people come at this place, and when they are listening, of course, in Marseille there was some discussion, and that's why for me it's important to listen to you today and to carry your message to Glasgow, to create the same things in this place, and also to take the event of the COP26 as a speakers of your message, to denounce the extractivism action in South Country, because in the last events also, for example, in Nantes, I was in the summer university where I met other indigenous people and activists from ATTAC also, who was working with local activists like you, and we talk about extractivism. So it's when to say to other people, it's when governments from Europe, from China, from Occidental parts, decide to create a project in South Country to create mine, and to give to have a first material to create after our smartphone or electric car or all the battery. But this action who looks like ecological in Europe, like electric car, destroy totally the landscape and the nature and the biodiversity in Africa. And for me, we are not talking enough about this situation, what's happening in reality in South Country. And I would like that the COP26 is also not a place where we talk about action, how we can create action for the global change, but also how we can stop this kind of extractivism, this kind of politics. Also, the governments actually are talking about a new goals, which is create 30% of the planet as a new natural park. But most of you here know that this when we create a natural park, we expulse indigenous people, and we create a touristic place which is pollute the place. And so I would like that at the COP26 with network, with the social network, with the newspaper, with all the media, because the media will go there to talk about this, what happened in South country with the extractivism, which is reality in real life. The natural park, which kind of human rights it's creating. Not human right, but a lot of people died about that. So yeah, sorry, it's a little mixture in my mind, but personally I cannot go to the COP26 because of my studies, but I will go on the 7th of October to Montpellier, where it will be he will happen another congress, which name is Africa France, and we'll talk on with the president of my country, Emmanuel Macron, on which kind of new political action and collaboration we will do with Africa, with the country of Africa. So in this place, I will try also with NGO like Survival, or other NGO which is working with the local people, with indigenous community from Africa, to talk what's happening, what's the project from my country, from the big business, big company of my country in France, create this kind of destroying landscape, destroying life of people in Africa, and how we can change that. So it will happen the 8th of October, between 7 and 9, but with the president the 8th of October at Montpellier. That is for my part.
Yes, thanks, Claire. Many thanks. I think we have someone from Camino to COP, a young walker to Glasgow. Is he with us? I don't know. Maybe Nicolas or Jeannie, do you know? Okay. Yeah, we would love also to hear how is the walking. Do you want to share something a little bit?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah, could you help me introducing yourself, please?
Yeah, okay. Hi, I'm Michael, and I'm one of the walkers in England, walking to Glasgow, and there are several groups. One of them started in Bristol in the south of England, and another one started in London, and there are other ones. One started in Hereford, and there are lots of different people. Some of them are going the whole way. So and lots of people are joining just for little bits. So I've walked all the way from Bristol, and we're nearly in Birmingham now, and we're going to get to COP in Glasgow on the 30th of October, I think, when it begins. And yeah, along the way, we're talking with the people in the communities we pass about the government's reaction to climate change and what message they'd give to the government. So we're, taking notice of what the public of the country want their government to do, and we've had quite good response from a lot of people, and then some people have not responded so well, but it's good to see that there is a real feeling that action needs to happen. So that's what we've seen so far, and we've got another month and a bit to go. So we'll keep doing that.
Great, thank you very much. It's amazing what you're doing, and congratulations and all the very best. I hope you can keep us also updated with the work, and we will follow up, of course. And I'm very amazed and impressed of all the different initiatives. And yeah, I think that's the feeling that we are sharing here. Like, an action needs to happen right now, and also it's important to share this pieces of reflection. Not only to do an action, but also how we can improve it for the best, right? And because it's not only to do something, but we wanted to make it work. So that's how we also give us feedback and improve our actions. Push, I see you there. I would really love to hear what you can, I mean, how is it for you? How do you think, what is your impression after hearing all these amazing experiences of young people, and also how that encouraged you for your walk to Glasgow?
Hey, good to be here. Hello, everyone. Come on, let's do a bit of a song now, okay? Yeah, yeah. Can you just wave? Can you please wave a little bit, even if I don't see you? Yeah, good, ma'am. Yeah. So what I want to do now is to say, I will do walk along. You say Jai Jagat, okay? And I say sing along, victory to the world. Are you ready? Are you ready?
We can try.
Walk along.
Jagat.
Come on, guys. I don't think that you had your lunch. A little bit more. Yeah, you're asking for victory to the world and you say Jai Jagat. No.
Yeah.
Come on. Walk along.
Jai Jagat.
Sing along.
Victory to the world.
Come together.
Sing
So walk you see, this is what lifts us up, okay? I want to say, I'm trying to do this, walk along, Jai Jagat.
Jai Jagat.
Sing along, victory to the world.
Jai Jagat.
I'm going to be walking another 1,000,000 steps on the 2nd of October, Mahatma Gandhi's birthday, from London, Parliament Square to Glasgow. I will meet our Quaker friends. I know about you from quite some time. I have been walking from COP 15, 11 years. Yeah. When I started to walk, there weren't so many people like you guys, you're highly well informed. Was it Sydney who talked about, hey, I didn't hear about COP, but look at the amount of analysis he put us together about Kenya. And John from Switzerland. 2019 was a revolution because young people stood up. Let's not forget that Britain actually declared a climate emergency. You know why? Because of young people. So let's never forget that, I know it seems sometimes, if not most of the time, it seems hopeless. But when somebody says, I can't breathe, now we know there are so many reasons for that. And we got to and we ourselves don't even think that we are breathing, do we? So that's my point, that from 2009 to now, as I was walking across the frozen land of, I'm by citizenship, I'm British, but my soul rests everywhere, whoever gives me food and a bed and a conversation. Yeah, that's how I feel, I belong to this little planet, really, and I feel I belong because you are now listening to me, giving me time. Time is the most precious thing we can give to each other. Do you agree? That's what happened. So when I decided, because at that time I was working for Oxfam, and I was a so-called a popular campaigner for climate, and they said, go on, mobilize people. How do I mobilize? Nobody knows there is a COP. Nobody knows what the connections are. So I went across the world from one end, right on the east, from Papua to Uganda, and asking women, hey, is the climate changing? Is it changing for the good? You see the word, I always good, hope, promise, no negative words. Yeah. So I started, and then I found, we were able to meet across 1.6 million people in 4 months time. And we had about 40, 50 people who were all part like you. And the story was quite devastating. It broke my heart, literally. And it was my Gandhian movement as well. Why? Because in all those stories, I found hope. There was a group of grannies in Uganda who were looking after children who don't belong to them, grandchildren. The next generation wiped out because of war, AIDS, and other reasons. But they were coming together to grow food and feed to their children. The government also did something, okay. But from within these 12 years, then at that walk, I met from priests to politicians to postwomen to passengers to parents to pupils. You can't believe, and I was unknown. The thing that helped me, because I know I have knotted my hair, it's pretty long, huh? Okay? And I'm wearing a Mandela t-shirt. Just to remind you, there's a story there. Mandela initially said, we cannot overcome apartheid with non-violence. Yeah. After that, he talked about reconciliation and truth. They are the two important words. So I started singing. Meaning, even the big blue sky falls on my head, I'll be fearless and I'll be fearless and I'll be fearless. But I was walking across Britain to Denmark. And mind you, I was dead afraid. But I was singing this song. But this song actually attracted the media and other people also. And the media put me on BBC, Danish. Then I started to feel a bit like a rock star for a while. Yeah, that was okay. It's all right. Yeah. So what I want to tell. So, but at that time I was also deeply started thinking, because I want to be like a Sufi. You know, in the Islamic world, a Sufi is one who searches for truth. And for me, Gandhi is look for truth, search for truth, speak truth to power. That's it. Yeah. And and it's not easy, because I'm saying this and I'll be lying to you immediately next second about something petty lies. So that is actually informed me. And then I said, the truth inside me told, you got to go to India. That's my home. I'm sorry. So I walked the southwestern of India. We have mountains and we have river. The river is called Kaveri, even more sacred than the Ganges. And the mountain is older than Himalayas. I suspect most of us don't know that. And I worked with the largest farming organization there and did some work with them. What I do is, as I'm a single guy, I'm passionately believe in wanting to look for truth. And then whom else do I like most? Jagat and Ekta. Because I found them really reaching out to the most invisible and voiceless people, and then set them together in such powerful way, not disciplined as an army, disciplined as in self-belief and strength. And so I went and met Rajaji and then took his blessing, honestly. And then I walked 500 kilometers. Every night I went to the radio and spoke to about 1 million people. And I started to become like a god man. I walk, with my head down, I walk very fast. When you walk fast, meaning I communicate a sense of urgency. So I walked right from the top of the hill, about 7,000 feet down. And then in each of the COP time, I walked, the first was Copenhagen, then I walked the Durban, then I walked the Paris COP. Now the fourth, this is my home, Britain, this little beautiful island. And there's a lot of change going on. And look, just now I heard Camino, I know them. They're already walking. So I have got my network of belonging across all over the world. As I'm talking to you, there is, and my title for my walk is Go, Push, Go. Go is push, push is go. That's my name. Okay. So, and then I align with other people. Yeah, I'm aligned. I walk by myself, but I align with Jai Jagat, because that's how I'm practicing the song. We are humans, we sing, we smile, and we tell stories, and we jump up and down. Yeah, serious stuff. There are many people who will do that. Don't worry. But every time I walk, I go out into the street and ask people, do you know there is a COP26 going on? What is that? You believe me? So now we got to somehow communicate this story. I'm a storyteller, and each of you today told me some fantastic stories. You also, Sean, and my friend from Kenya, Sydney, and each of you told me a story, and a mathematician, I forgot his name, yeah? And then you, Claire, very good story. So each of us have got a powerful story. Don't let us underestimate that. We can continue to enable, enhance, exhilarate, and then, illuminate what is happening. I know it feels like end of the world. In some way it is. An emission-led growth has resulted in great wealth, but not for everybody. We are now watching the most unequal inequality in the world. An emission-led growth is actually put our planet into catastrophic situation of a climate emergency. Come on, we got to do something about it, right? And an emission-led growth become the fertile ground for massive conflict and violence. So this is why Jai Jagat, if you say Jai Jagat, people say, what is that? Okay, we will explain to you. So now, as we are coming together, I feel, the spark is you all, each one of you. You are giving me a spark of hope. And each of us somehow will link. And we got virtually, we can do like we are doing now. Every time I come into a Zoom, I think, God, everybody will be sleeping because we are Zoom fatigue. Okay? So we got to find ways in which we are talking to each other, dress up. Come on, guys, cheer up, we're not going to let these guys go away. That is not a photo opportunity in Glasgow. So I'm going to be walking. I'm thinking I'm a little shy of my 70th year. 11 years ago, I started to walk. I've done 32 million steps. I've reached out to about 500,000 people. It didn't happen like that, just with my singing, reaching out, and you all became my lovely, sensitive, cooperative host. Just as I'm preparing a whole list of people with whom I'm going to say, because I won't spend money. If my cause is right, people will give me food. If my cause is right, people will put me some food, and then a bed, and then probably a little bit of hot shower because my legs are paining. Mind you, I'm 70-year-old, guys. Yeah. So are you with me now?
Yes, of course.
Walk along.
Jai Jagat.
Jai Jagat.
Come on. Guys. Walk along.
Jai Jagat.
Sing along.
Thank you very much.
Victory to the people.
Thank you. Thank you, Push. Really, many thanks for your energy and good spirit. And of course, you cheer us up all the time. And thank you very much.
Please share my site, and please share my site. And I hope, because now I've got people walking from Japan, Australia, Indonesia, Bangladesh. So even if they do a little walk on the 2nd of October, 100 feet, 100 steps, and then say, go, push, go, Jai Jagat. Okay, I'll be grateful.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Of course, we will disseminate it and invite people to share a message also for your walk, but also for all the walks that are there. So we will have 10 minutes if someone has any question for any of our speakers, participants. You can write it on the chat, or also just ask it, and then we will have a breakout of 15 minutes. Yeah, and then we can have a brief moment to report back of what has been shared, and I think that's it. So does anyone has any question for any of our participants?
Monica, hi, this is Gary. I don't have a question. I don't have a question, but I wanted to share with the group something very interesting that is going to happen from the 21st of September to the 2nd of October. So if you allow me and give me 5 minutes, I would like to share it with our friends.
Please.
Yes, friends, it's been such a pleasure to listen to all of you. The amount of intellect and the amount of sensitivity. It is so heartening, and it makes me so happy that when we say the end of the world, it is not the end of the world. We have so many people who are so concerned about what is happening around us. And what I gather from what all of you say is that life as usual is not working. Business as usual is not working. And it calls for It calls for interventions. Calls for struggle. It calls for struggle at policy level, at government level, but more importantly, as Pushpanath said, it also calls for interventions at individual levels, interventions at community levels, interventions at what we call the grassroots level. Because whether it is COP26 or the climate change conferences happening all around the world, it is all a result of non rational consumption. We need to focus on modesty in the way we manage our natural resources and we treat our Mother Earth. Many of you have shared your concerns of how things are changing. Irrational and discrepant economies are not only disturbing the social balance, but are also contributing to the growing violence throughout the world. Here, violence necessarily may not mean physical, but it also means violence that is economical in nature, violence that is bringing differences between people, and it is hurting our Mother Earth. So, keeping this in mind, the Jai Jagat campaign is introducing a 12-day of action. Starts from the 21st of September, which is the International Peace Day, up till the 2nd of October, which is the Day of Non-Violence and also the birthday of Mahatma Gandhi. So here, if you see my screen, see the basic idea behind the 12 days of action is based on the philosophy of Sarvodaya. Uday means rise, and Sarvodaya means all rise. We all have to rise up for the cause, what we are talking about. We all need to rise up for our Mother Earth. And during these 12 days of action, we are focusing on 6 different themes. The first being peace and justice, second being climate, third being about land and defenders of territories, food security and biodiversity, water and forced migration. And during these 12 days, we are going to have people around the world who will be holding actions in support of the Mother Earth and talking about the serious problem of the creation of a non-violent economy. But apart from these groups, we also call upon individuals, we also call upon unorganized groups to participate in this campaign. We have given every day a theme. If you look at my screen, the first day is what we called the Peace Day. And this is when we're talking about fasting for peace. We're saying that let's fast for one day. Let's commit one day of our lives and say, I demand peace. I demand a better world, not for myself, but also for the people around the world and the future generation. The second day is on September 22nd, which is boycotting fossil fuel generated automobiles. So we are calling it a car-free day. The third day is planting a tree. Similarly, on the fourth day, we are talking about a strike for climate justice. We're talking about sharing a meal on the fifth day. On the sixth day, we are talking about consuming local products and discouraging the so-called global economy, which is the globalization happening. On the seventh day, we are calling about a clean community, leaving every place clean, leaving every place better, leaving our Mother Earth much more beautiful wherever we go. The eighth day, we are calling about clean water sources. The ninth day is about water is life. The 10th day is about standing up beside the refugees. The 11th day is uh, about COP26 and beyond COP26, what do we do? And finally, on the 12th day, we'll be talking about non-violence and how to create a non-violent economy. Of course, more details about these are available on the website. And what comes out of today's discussion motivates me to request all of you that apart from organized actions, let's also call for unorganized individual actions. As Pushpanath very rightly said, walk 100 steps no matter where you are and just say, go, push, go. That is enough to move the entire world. Thank you so much, friends, and Jai Jagat.
Thank you, Gary. Jai Jagat. Yeah, also I have shared on the chat the detailed schedule for the 12 days. So you can also see what actions are happening in which countries. There are so many. So you can take a look. And if any question raised, you can also write us, contact us. Okay, so does anyone has any question, any further comment for our panel? Otherwise, I think we can go with Daniel. I don't see any hand or any comment on the chat. Okay, so Daniel, are you there?
I am, yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome. Everyone, how's everyone? All right, so probably also we want to stretch a little bit because it's been a lot. It's been a lot of beautiful faces, information, and everything like that. So gonna encourage everyone to stand up and stretch. Put your hands in the air like you're lifting the earth. 1, 2, 3, and then hold it there. And then reach your hands down into the earth. 1, 2, 3. And then also next, like a windmill, we want you to turn the earth. Great. Okay. So so thanks so much for taking that break there and staying with us. So now we're gonna break out into groups, because now we get to the even more fun part of crafting what, as we've been doing, what the world we want to look like, but also into participating for what demands and what we want to bring to COP26. And we're going to also later on get more people involved and refine these even more from this breakout, but this is the start. And so we'll talk more about that later, but I've dropped the registration link for the 1st of October and the chat before, and we'll talk about that after we come back and have kind of crafted our demands following this. And we might, and for this, I think we may go over a little bit. So we're gonna shoot for a 15-minute breakout and then report back, and then kind of close out. But it may go over the 6 o'clock mark a little bit, but we definitely want to have group participation and make sure that we're able to capture and go to the next steps. So just for those who can't make it past 6, our next meeting, which will be a youth summit to start to, and so which will start to fine tune the demands we'll bring to COP26 through push pronounced March and other things like that. Also with me in delegation, that will be on the 1st of October at 6 p.m. Central European time, and I'll get the link. So right now we're going to divide up into, I think, about 5 groups, and we have the breakout document right here. Does anyone want to volunteer to facilitate at all? One of the groups, it's basically just helping people to introduce themselves really quick, then just go through the questions, and then you can be the note taker yourself or ask someone to. Does anyone want to be a facilitator at all?
maybe I would ask how people feel to do this right now. Like, is it too much? Do you have time? Do you feel tired? I mean, maybe. Any response?
I think it'd be useful to hear, from people who haven't had the chance to speak. So I think it would be a good idea, to give them the opportunity to have their say. So I would be up for it, and I'd be willing to facilitate a group if that was helpful.
Great, thank you, Nicholas.
Okay, so I'm creating 5 breakout rooms,
and I can be a facilitator as well if you want, Ginny. Yes, I don't mind being a facilitator.
Okay, so, and I'll facilitate one as well. Does anyone? So I'm going to put Ginny in one room and Nicholas in another. Anyone else want to facilitate? Claire, would you like to facilitate?
Yes, I will.
John, would you like to facilitate?
Yes, it's okay for me.
And anyone else? Sydney or Bazi or Sol?
Daniel, we have enough people for 5 facilitations.
Okay. All right. So
Can I just ask if we've got facilities as facilitator to be able to share the document?
Oh, I think, did everyone get the document? I think, yeah, everyone has the link. If you,
yeah. Thanks, Matthew, for joining us, and we hope we can keep in touch for the future. Thank you. Good luck.
All right, almost ready. And oops. Okay, and so we're going to open all rooms. Facilitators, make sure you have the document and go through introductions and then the question, and then you can take notes there. All right, ready? Everyone ready? And also, if you want to assign someone for reporting back, you can do that, or report back yourself. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Hi, guys. We're doing breakout right now. We're finishing up. So we're creating demands for COP26. And so is it okay if we send you to a room to participate?
Yeah, definitely. That'll be okay with me. Hello, am I coming through okay?
Yep. Yep, you are. Yeah. I think. I might have. Okay. Hey, Monica.
Hey, so should I bring people back or?
Not yet. I talked with people like 3 more minutes, and then we'll bring people back. Yeah.
Great. Good. Thanks. How is it going? How do you?
They're doing really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I ran. That's why I was like trying to get another person to facilitate for the 5th group, because we like in breakout groups you want to have a runner to make sure that people are doing okay and like then communicate, because that's so Mosen's on group 5.
Okay. Great. So you are have you been in the groups now?
Yeah, I kind of peeking in.
Great. Yeah, I'm glad you joined. I was like, what's happening with him? Is he okay? I was worried also, like.
Yeah, I'm burnt out, but trying to come back from. Yeah, I kind of been tired, and
yeah, I can imagine.
flesh, like getting discouraged, I guess. How are you doing?
Also very, very super tired, overwhelmed with.
Okay. Welcome back, everyone. I think we have everyone back, right? Looks like, yep. How'd it go? Does anyone want to quickly say how their breakout group went? Just a popcorn. Was everyone finished?
Yeah, I think from our side, we didn't get time to review all the things that we had put down, but we managed to put down all our points individually. So that worked.
Ginny and Nicholas, how about you guys? Did you get everything sorted?
I don't know about everything sorted, but we managed to get some things down on the form, and we were joined by Silja at the last minute, who came in from Denmark, so that was lovely. And I don't know whether anybody in my group wants to say anything, report back, but I think what Silja was saying is we need to listen to the youth and not try and tell them what we think they need. That seemed to be a really important message.
And then John and Mosen, everything.
Yes. So we were in our group. I was talking with Rosa Marina from Mexico. So we were just 2, but it was never very nice, because we talked a lot about these issues in Mexico, about the indigenous communities on renewable energy projects, and I think it's also something that we really need to address at the COP26. So that's mainly the topic of our discussion.
Great. Okay, so
and, unfortunately, I will need to leave, but thank you very much for all the beautiful stories. It was very nice to meet you, all of you, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Jean. Hoping to see you.
Jagat.
Glasgow.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you, Rosa.
Thank you.
See you on the 1st, and Rosa as well.
Yeah. See you on the 1st of October.
Okay, so just in case people to go, you can fill out that document too, and also register for the 1st of October, which is going to be a follow-up of Youth Summit to kind of put more demands in here. So we'll go over this. I think John Majay you had a kind of way that you wanted to frame it too, of just taking 8 minutes or so, just or 6 minutes to kind of go a little bit of see what we got, but make sure everyone to sign up on the form here before you leave, and register for the event. and invite more people to it. Jamajay, did you say you wanted to, we can go to each breakout group and kind of review a minute or two.
I think now, there are like, around 10 people have already left from there. So we have only 22 people left. So might not make as much sense to, try to go back and go through all the points as of now. It might be better to just kind of discuss the document as a collective thing, maybe, Daniel, if you could, and the ones who've written it, like in our group, we just kind of marked out who's written what. So it's easy enough to just kind of go in there. And if you want to have a discussion with the person who shared a point, it's possible to kind of have them explain. So if you just go down, I think group 3, you'll find stuff from all of us.
Okay, can go ahead.
Sure, Claire, you want to go ahead?
No, you can.
Oh, you can do it.
Okay, so as say, Jay, we just finally worked directly in the document. So I didn't have time to read all of this, the proposition, but for example, as you can see from Krishna, she wants to mitigate and adapt climate change in Bangladesh. The first foremost will be ensuring the land right of the people, because when people have the ownership of land, they will take action to preserve the environment and their lands. Implementation of inclusion as SDGs. So shall I read all the proposition, or I don't know what is the best way to go?
I think we can look at a common thread, Claire. If you want, I can speak with you. So
documents as a proposition of Krishna.
Yeah, I think one common thread that we are looking at is that indigenous communities, and this is, I think, something that everyone has said, including Krishna, including Gary Bhai, which is that the local communities and the indigenous communities need to have right to ownership of the land and to preserve that land at the local level. We all came from different perspectives. So Krishna's perspective was about the land ownership, then B, it was again to keep it very indigenous inclusive, to make sure that the indigenous community, the local communities, were empowered in the regions that they're working in. The one from Sydney focused a lot on how there is a drought happening, and to mitigate the effect of the drought by building water catchments, and to kind of work with the water resources that we have and managed in such a way that forests are kind of reforested. The crops are not very water intensive, which is also a challenge that Krishna had mentioned with the sal trees or teak trees, sorry, that were water intensive and kind of causing problems in Bangladesh. So planting of trees and crops that are again native to the places, that are not very water intensive, that are not planted from somewhere else into that region, but belong to that local ecosystem, is something that was again pushed by a lot of us. Then I think Claire can speak about her points in more detail, which is
I just wanted
green. I'm also with her on that. So me and Claire have a similar focus on green initiatives and anti-corporate, but not an anti-corporate stand, but really to make the corporates also more responsible. So Claire, could you speak more?
Yeah, I was talking because I wanted to add point from for people from my country and not tell at at people of South part, for example, to how to live, because according to me, as say Matthew, they have a good lifestyle. It's us as Occidental people to change our way of production, of way of consumption. But as I know today, people are introduced to the climate change. They see every day in actuality in media climate change, but they don't know what is happening with this green environmental policies from governmental people or from a big company, which is greenwashing. So for my country, for Europe, I think it could be interesting to make campaigns on greenwashing more, and like that people can change better their consumption. And yeah, to also tell them the situation in my second point was to tell them what's happening in South parts, and like this they can encourage their governments from the north to stop this no collaboration with the grassroots people, with the indigenous people, and we say this green racism. Because now it's happening like green racism. The white people say that, they not say, but they are thinking that they know better how to take care of the forest, how to take care of the nature, but to tell you a real concrete example since a lot of years and a lot this year in 2021 in Australia and also in California and Canada. We saw a lot of fire, but it's not just because the climate change, it's also because the indigenous people was expelled in Australia. The Aboriginal people was expelled of this place, so they was not taking care of the forests, and when we stop to take care of the nature, the nature, it's happening this summer, a big fire in a lot of places. In winter, the indigenous people make a little fire to help the nature, and like this, in summer there isn't this kind of big fire. So it's just a concrete example to say that the human, the people, the local people have to reconnect with the nature, and to say that they are to take care of the nature, and to go out of this idea that the take care of the nature is not just leave the nature alone and create a place where there isn't people. It's not that. It's to recreate this exchange between people, the indigenous people, and the nature. I'm sorry I take too much time, but it's my favorite subject on this moment. So.
Great, and so it looks like you have some demands. I'll just really quickly read it out so that we can then get to the next group. Stronger. What demands would you like to carry to COP26 as youth? Stronger environmental regulations on corporations from governments as a unified initiative. Rules for Amazon and other corporate should be the same in Europe and India, for example. Plus a very strong push for green initiatives towards reduction of carbon footprint and optimizing renewable, sustainable energy solutions. Another one that Group 3 has started with safeguarding the existence of indigenous and tribal communities. They are the most close to nature, know the best how to maintain the balance. Jagat, water, forest, land, this should belongs to the people, not corporates and moneymakers. Recognize ground level defenders and involve them in policy formulation, make impact audits mandatory, make people's approval to a policy mandatory, and then what Indigenous people, grassroots people, and other first victims are living in the South with climate change, international environmental policies like natural part, and Indigenous inclusive climate change actions need to be taken, region-centric localized policies from the grassroots to top rather than a top-down system. So that's great start, and look forward to seeing more rounding out in the next session on the 1st of October. And so we have next group 1, kind of knowing we have, it's about 6:27 right now. So I just want to make sure that we don't go too long. I guess who wanted to go next? Group 1, group 2, 4 or 5?
Okay, I'll do quickly group 1. So we had really strong contributions from Africa, Rwanda, and Bolivia. And we talked about the different contexts, but the main demands that came forward was that political will is lacking to confront corporate powers, but also that needs to be balanced with finding a sustainable economic model that allows communities and existing communities to still be kept alive, but change over now and for the next generations in a more sustainable way. There was a real concern to pinpoint information and share globally the truth about what causes climate change and the conditions that create it, and show where responsibility in the industrialized countries contribute to it, so that that can be taught and shared across global South and North. And finally, that a national curriculum could be created that allows people from primary to secondary to tertiary education be put into a government and or a national curriculum, so that the next generation can be educated on how to manage and find a way that is built on truth and evidence, not just on political slants of what is reality.
Thank you, Jenny. That was great. And we'll get to talk more on the 1st about these two. It was great. And thanks for everyone for working so hard in this small amount of time to get such a robust part out. So thanks to group 1 and group 3. And I know John has had to leave. Nicholas and Wilson, I know your groups as well. Anyone want to go next?
Well, I might as well just scroll down. If you want to just put the context in, I didn't put the 3 contexts in. So we've got India, Philippines, and Denmark. So the first paragraph is contribution from India. And it's all about the need to look at reducing the power of industrialization to destroy by taking stuff out of the ground. The second contribution, the second paragraph, is from the Philippines. So there was a slightly different view there about industrialization, issue about economy needing to be considered, looking at trying to get young people and to be advocates in terms of education. Tree planting was brought up, and the need to get the government on board with climate action. There's obviously corruption there, but also they don't seem to be focusing on the climate, and pollution was a strong issue there to need to mitigate that, and obviously education. So the third paragraph was from Denmark, looking at getting people back to links with the soil and community, building up communities. and then the fourth one is that's the Philippines as well. Again, talking about the waste issue. No, sorry, I got a bit muddled there. Actually, the one below Denmark, that the last one is India. The one above, reach out to government to implement strong regulation about waste. That's the one from the Philippines. Sorry. Yeah. And the final one was by the India context. Yeah. And the need for fun, looking at fun as a way of trying to get young people involved. And yeah, that's mine.
Thank you so much, Nicholas and Group 2 for this beautiful contribution, and look forward to seeing more on the 1st of October. And so I know Jean left and kind of gave a quick overview. I'm not so, I know Sol, and I'm not sure if Sol's still there, but if you wanted to, anyone from Group 4 wanted to, they could give a little bit more. And I know Mosin, Group 5 still has to go. Does anyone from Group 4 still here? I think, Sol, are you still there? Mosin, do you want to go for Group 5?
I think Mosin is not here.
Yeah, I saw him leave. I saw him say,
yeah.
the message say he had to go.
Okay. Anyone from Group 5 still here? See, so I'll read both Group 4 and 5 just to. So Group 4, I know Jean, Sol, and Maria Rosa. They were in Group 4, and so they talked about the defense of the land by indigenous communities and putting demands in through those. Private companies building windmills for private companies, not for local people. It's a problem, Mexico and Colombia and others, because land from indigenous people was stolen. So that's something that Group 4 talked about. Legislation is only made for the privates concerning renewable energy. Communities are not allowed to build their own renewable power plants, and need to address these at COP26 as a problem. In Group 5, which was Mosin, Mosin, then I know
Hafiz. It looks like Hafiz.
Yeah, Hafiz. Yeah, Hafiz. Hafiz is in here right now. Yeah, Hafiz, and then one or two other people. They shared about, so Hafiz shared about actions they're taking to make things more eco-friendly involving universities and communities. Their demand was government should include in their budget to promote environmental friendly initiatives. Communities need to be conscious about the climate issue and participate actively. And looks like that's what Group 5 started out with. So this is a great step towards bringing our demands towards COP26, as we know it's really important. And thank you so much for everyone for starting and starting this amalgam of demands. So that was a great job, everyone, and I hope everyone's feeling okay. And it's getting late now, so we're gonna close up. And well, if people can make sure to register for the 1st of October to follow up on this, and then we'll then continue to get more groups involved and kind of get a larger document ready for November. That will, keep refining it. That will be a great way to start to bring our voices there, especially as youth. But then also make sure that we keep working towards the world that we envision we want to see, and I'm looking forward to hearing more, and so grateful for everyone to have gotten us this far.
So yes, I just wanted to know who here is available first, and also agree to work on this job for the 1st of October, because Monica will be very busy because of the 12 action days. So me, I agree to continue this document and prepare the 1st of October meetings. Daniel, you will help me.
Yes.
Yes, and if another, I don't know, Nicholas or Ginny, you want to be part of, I don't know, it's just to see who want to work on that, and after we can continue to prepare the 1st of October, because Monica will be very busy and I don't want that she take again, because she is the lead of this group. So just Daniel and me?
Well, I'm happy. What I think would be best to say is that we could help read the document. I mean, we're not really a young person, Nicholas and I, no longer young. That we could be editors, you know, we could like help read or help see the document and then feedback stuff, if that would help.
Yes.
But, you know, happy, because I think it was a great session, and if I can get a young person to read it as well, get the language punchy, that would be, you know, I'll help. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ginny.
Oh, I love that, Jay. I'm still young. I'm only halfway there.
Good.
Very good. Okay, and Jay, just to tell you, when Pushpanat and you start walking, do please tell us when you're going or share us the route. We'd love to come and walk with you one day. So there you go. Okay, and there's Jill. Lovely.
Yes, many thanks. Please follow our social media, Facebook page, the Jagat. We will be posting every day actions, and also we will have every day we will have a webinar, a broadcast where we will share the highlights of the day, the different actions, but also we will talk about the main theme, these main daily actions we are proposing. So please follow us there and join all the different activities we will have.
Yeah, very good.
And I'll note that if anyone can join us in Glasgow or on any of the walks in the UK, that would be great. And you can get in contact with Pushpanat or me or anyone, or you can message me personally. Also, if anyone can't make it to Glasgow, I think also working on things and the 12 days is a great way to get involved first, to start to work on projects or just any action in your own area, to start to pull this to raise attention. But also we can facilitate maybe doing some sort of event in your own area leading up to it after in October or during, like Matthew had mentioned, even that we could do things in solidarity. Here's my number.
By the way, friends, just one small thing from my side is that while I'm walking with Pushpanat, but that's not the only thing I'm there to cover. So if there are walks happening in other places, and if you'd like me to travel and film something there, do some interviews, just let me know where the walk is happening, and I can just take a couple of days off from working with Pushnath, go there, film, and come back and join Push.
I mean, it's very interesting because we've just had, as I said, we've had the walkers through this weekend, and I didn't know all the actions that are going to take place. But as they go in on the 30th of October, there will be a large walk of all of the walks going into Glasgow together. And then there's going to be a 24-hour vigil at the beginning that will lead from the 30th of October to the 1st of November. And then there's going to be another 24-hour vigil at the end when everybody's trying to come to conclusions about what they're going to do. And I think that might be, Jai, something very interesting, because we've been filming today. And I think that filming people's perceptions as they walk, what they gain from that, what their stories are, they're very, very personal and pertinent. I think I found it very moving, this particular group of people from Britain. So yeah, I think if we could join up, and if that was a willingness, I'd be happy to come and liaise with you somewhere along the route. But I'm thinking myself of going to Glasgow now. I thought, that's it, I've got to go. So yeah, I'll keep you posted on it.
I'm just sending you the schedule brief.
Okay, very good.
Great. Well, so thank you very much for staying that long. This really, it's been a really pleasure, and yeah, we will meet soon, hopefully.
Yeah, it was lovely.
Thank you.
Well done,
Thank you, Monica, for hosting. Yeah.
And thank you for finding everybody, even at thelastminute.com, they all joined in.
Yeah, I know. I mean, yeah, Claire also, and Jay and all the team. I mean, thank you very much.
Great. Very good.
Yeah.
So Jay, I don't have the schedule. Have you done it in chat or what?
No, I have sent it to you on email.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Lovely. Very good. All right. Happy day. Okay.
Bye, Jagat.
Love.
Bye, Jagat.
Bye. Jagat. Yeah.
Go well.
Thank you.
Did you get?